Hey folks, how you doing out there? Scorza with another Drink and a Wink. Michelle is around. We're going to do our number 8 in the Permascorz. We're winding this down. Our 10 Permascorz whiskeys. We're going to talk about number 8 in the series of 10. You can go back and check out the videos as some of those go away. I've been posting, as some of you all know, or maybe you don't, when I make a video here right now on Facebook, I then download it and then put it also back up on the Drink and a Wink YouTube channel. And now that the videos go away after a month or two here on Facebook, I repost them with the YouTube. Now the problem with that is Facebook knows what everyone's doing, and they don't like YouTube posts, so you might not see that or whatever. But if you go to the page, you can find that. So all 8 right now are up either on Facebook, and I usually will repost it with YouTube. Or if you are really interested, you could also go over to the Drink and a Wink YouTube channel. And that one, I've been having trouble getting people getting over there to subscribe. And I have the whole collection of as many as I could salvage from the great Facebook. We're getting rid of all your live videos of last year. That's not what they called it, but that's what they did. I must have now 40 or 50 videos of my transfers, mostly transfers from Facebook to YouTube. You can check out. Anyway, we're going to talk about number 8, and this is, I mean, downright absolute one of my favorite all-time whiskeys. Okay, and this is the single malt Scotch whiskey by the name of Springbank, or from the distillery Springbank, and this is their 10-year-old. You don't have to go very far into your whiskey knowledge and whiskey nerddom, in particular Scotch whiskey, to realize that just about every Scotch whiskey fanatic, anorak, nerd, and influencer is always going to rank Springbank 10, Springbank Distillery and Springbank 10 as one of their favorites. They win the best distillery often on the online Scotch Whisky Awards. They're great. Okay, that's it. Bye bye. End of video. No, this has been a long time favorite. This is, I think, our 3rd bottle of Springbank 10, and there's a good reason for this. So we've talked about in previous videos. We've talked about the many regions that we're familiar with. The Speyside region, that gives us, many distilleries, 100 distilleries, across there that move into the Highlands. We talk about the, I don't know, I've lost count now on Islay, the ones that are known, sometimes for, most of them noted for peated whiskey. But there are some other regions here. We have the lowlands, okay? And then we have this area called Campbeltown. It's kind of southern region. They have a taste profile. It is kind of like the terroir concept of wine. Every time I get a Campbeltown bottling, and I have to kind of expand my, I should get, let me explain this. Campbeltown has an autumnal, or kind of a combination of everything. It can taste Speyside, but most of them are doing a little bit of peated whiskey on their bottlings. It's kind of in some ways similar to Bunnahabhain on Islay, that it is somewhat universal, and we'll talk about that. Campbeltown used to be a big whiskey producer with over 30 distilleries. Okay, and maybe I'll put a map up in the comments after this, just so you can see where it's located. Now there are only 3 distilleries putting out 5 single malt Scotch whiskies. So one of them is Glengoyne. Okay, I have never owned a Glengoyne. That's what I was mentioning, is that might be another thing for me to check out. The second one is Glengoyne, who puts out Kilkerran over here, which I'll talk about soon. And then finally Springbank. So I said the 5 different products out of 3 distilleries. Springbank does their Springbank. Then they have Longrow, and they have Hazelburn, and I'll explain that a little bit. But let me get into the 10. I first experienced the Springbank 10. Really, I heard about it a little bit, and then I started hearing more over that it was, a smaller. They do everything on site from, just absolutely everything. One of those kinds of places, and God, I hope I'm being heard right now. I don't know why the Siri thing came up. Go away, Siri. And if anybody's watching right now, and you're not getting my sound, please let me know. Anyway, I kind of heard it was a smaller distillery. They're really high quality. I just didn't do much research, and I didn't buy a bottle. And then all of a sudden, this is when I was still playing with Michelle sometimes, more with Jeannie Tanner, who I was just working. That's what I'm dressed for. I gig with Jeannie Tanner. And some others at the Pete Millers in Evanston here. Okay, everybody will know that place. They had Springbank 10. Not a lot of people had Springbank, or bought Springbank 10. So I would, with my discount there, sometimes Terry up there, if he's out there watching. Anyway, Springbank 10 became a real favorite, and it was because it tasted high quality, had a lot of different flavor notes. And it was there, and I couldn't find it anywhere else. Then I bought my first bottle, and it has become one of my top 5 whiskeys, and that's how it's become a Permascorz. What else can I tell you about this? Springbank, like I said, they do everything from processing the grain, the barley, all the way up to everything is done there on site. All right. High quality. They bottle the 10 at all natural color, so that color is all natural from 10 years of aging. No chill filtering on there, and they do what they. It's a little confusing. What they call it is 2.5 times distilling. So they do a distillate, and then they take some of that and hold it back. Do a second distillate, and then do a kind of like a halfway third one or something like that. I don't know the science of it, but essentially gives it this more body and gives it what sometimes people call the Springbank funk. I always think that Springbank and all of them in that region have this autumnal leafy flavor that's just great, and the bottle probably helps that with the orange stuff. In terms of what's in there, they are doing a combination of just oven dried barley for the when they malt the barley. They're combining that with peat. Again, they are firing there, so they're not getting their peated barley from somewhere else. They're getting the peat from somewhere else, and then that's how they're doing this. It's a kind of a blend of that, and it's also been noted that it is 60-40 in terms of ex-bourbon barrel to ex-sherry cask. Phenomenal company, phenomenal bottle. On the nose, no frills in the bottling. Used to come in a box. Now sometimes they don't even have that box. They did change the label a little bit. Our first bottle of this had a different label. I don't know that I like this label. I like the old one better, but it doesn't matter. They do not care about that. All they are trying to do is put really good whiskey in your hands. On the nose, barley sugars. Not a lot of smoke yet, and this is not a highly peated whiskey. But there is some there. You can get that element. Definitely a prune, a little bit of a grilled fruit note. A hint of chocolate, actually. And a nice earthiness. The Springbank funk, we don't know what that is. It's probably a combination of, yes, they're doing partially sherry, ex-sherry cask aging here, along with the added peat there, and then it could just be what the yeast that you're using or something of that nature. It's just a rich nose, very complex. On the taste, it's still so good. Lemon and a little bit of barley sweetness hit you in the beginning. as you move it to the finish, then you get a little bit of earthiness, a little bit of the peat. It gets a little funky. And we get autumnal flavors. On the finish, it's long. It's like you've had some kind of maybe overripe fruit. Wonderful, coats the tongue. For me, right now at the end, now I'm getting another second blast of the peat. But again, this is not peat if you're thinking the Lefroy kind of thing, Ardbeg. This is really subtle. Think grilled fruits, and you're there with a little bit of seaside oceanic flavor. It's just so darn good. It's a little different though. That's one thing to note. I think Michelle, what did you bought this bottle for me, right? Was that? And then it was sealed because we had maybe not this last birthday. Maybe this bottle has probably been. I think you bought it a year and a half ago. I probably opened it about maybe over the summer. Maybe this has been open this summer. We haven't had much of it. What? Yeah. This one does take because they're a small company and they're changing things around a little bit. There are some batch variations, but it's still a phenomenal whiskey for me. If anything, it tastes a little fruitier, and maybe I'm missing a little bit of that autumnal leaf kind of vibe. I'm going to take one more taste here and really hold it for a while. Yeah, holding it a little longer does give a little bit of a more of a sweet note. Now I'm probably going to drop too much water in here, but I want to see something here at the end. Also, I'm going to look something up real quick, so I might drop out for just a second. I want to see if it's even in our big retailer, if it's even on the Binny's website. So that's why I'm kind of breaking away here. Let's see. No, actually, well, unless you want to get the Samaroli Springbank 26-year-old from Campbeltown at a cool, crisp $7,000. Right now at Binny's, you're not going to find it. I'm going to describe this in a couple of ways. You know about allocations, okay, in the bourbon world, where companies kind of make it's kind of forced scarceness a little bit. Springbank does it as well, but it's not kind of in the same nature. They allocate some for Europe. They allocate some for outside of Europe, Scotland. Then other countries in Europe. Some's going to get over probably to Japan, South Africa, Australia maybe, and they allot some for us. They are not concerned in making a fast output product, and because this is so loved, they're gone as soon as they hit the shelves. That was too much water, but that does the water does bring it back to maybe my older remembrances. It cuts down the sweetness a little bit. Really good stuff. So this is hard to find. Also, when you do find it, they're, I would say, being conservative, but they still have gotten the bump up in price now that they're kind of everyone's favorite. This used to be a $60 bottle of whiskey. I'm sure if you find it in a store, Springbank 10 for $60, I would say buy it. And if you don't like it, or even if you don't want to open it, just grab one for me because it's hard to find one at that price. Now this is probably going to be in the 80 to 85, or if you're in a smaller store, a non-chain store, it could even be more. It depends how much they want to mark it up. The 15 is also fabulous. So that's the one problem with this. They make it. They spend their time. They make as much as they want to, keeping the quality and keeping their concept together, and then they that's it. That's as much as they make for that time period. Very cool. If you're interested in the other two things from their distillery, it's a little confusing. So Springbank is a lightly peated single malt Scotch whiskey. Long Grow is a higher peated whiskey, and I have had one of those out at where did I have the long row, Michelle? Maybe did I have it at the old, what was the place before it's Piccadilly Inn? What was it called before? Green Post?
Green Post, yeah.
Didn't I have the long row at the Green Post, I think?
Yeah, I think so.
And then we had Glendronach after that. Remember that? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I had the long row, and it was very tasty. Higher peat. And then Hazelburn, which you would think, well, the one that has peat probably has burn in the name, is actually completely non-peated coming from the Springbank distillery. Haven't ever had that. I'm going to put this back in the box, as I will drink this too fast and be very angry that I can't get any more. It's just delicious, okay? If you find it, check it out. This is the quintessential single malt Scotch whiskey at 10 years old. I would say, just out of the chute, it's my favorite. I'm not going to say best, worst. It's my favorite 10-year-old Scotch whiskey. Okay? Tastes more depth than that. I'm moving this along only because I want to mention a couple other things. I'm going to make another parallel to the bourbon world and set this one aside. So I'm going to make a parallel to Pappy Van Winkle. So Pappy Van Winkle is everyone's kind of unicorn or expensive horse, racehorse kind of bourbon here. It's produced by the Buffalo Trace Company and or distillery under the Sazerac brand. Okay, it's very hard to find. It's unless you're getting it at a big retail store like the Binny's, and you find it and you're able to get it. You're able to get the managers to get you a bottle. You're going to be paying significantly over manufacturer sales price for that whiskey. So then everyone kind of started looking for what became the poorman's, or I like to say now poor person's whiskey and or bourbon, and that became the series of Weller. Weller is also a wheated bourbon. Okay, I have the Special Reserve and I have the Antique 106. But this kind of became the thing, like, you can't get Pappy, get Weller. Okay, it's not the same, but it's close enough. And then that meant then Weller became the thing that was hard to get. So what I'm going to say is the parallel here is right next door. You literally could walk. Okay, without losing breath, is the Glengoyne distillery, and they put out Kilkerran. This Kilkerran has become known as kind of the poorman's Springbank. However, it is also rare over here in the States, so the prices can be almost the same. This one I found at a store, not a store that I normally buy at, and this was 3 digits. This was a little over 100. Actually, this is, if you know the Andersonville, I think it's just Andersonville Spirits or Andersonville Liquors. Do you remember, Michelle? Yeah. Is it Andersonville Liquors? Liquors. Yeah. They sometimes have some good stuff. Sometimes the prices are a little too high, but I'll tell you that this one was not. But what's funny is this poorman's or poor person's Springbank. It's not really right because this was not cheap. But this Kilkerran, if you can't find Springbank and you can find this, I see this more often in stores than Springbank these days, is a good second choice. So I mentioned those 5 distillates. You got the products from Glengoyne. You got the Kilkerran from Glengyle. They have a bunch of different ones. They have heavily peated, like this one, less peat, all that kind of stuff. Or this is not heavily peated. They have a heavily peated one. This is average peat. This is the Kilkerran 12 is the corollary to Springbank 10. Similar taste profiles, not quite as rich, a little bit more. I think perhaps. This one, maybe, I don't know if they're doing the same ratio. Yeah, so you can see here that the color, they're both natural color, but you can see that the Kilkerran's a little lighter. Perhaps the ratio of bourbon cask to ex-sherry cask is a little less, or there's more of an ex-bourbon cask in this one. That's the way it tastes to me. But Kilkerran is a great find, and if you're going to listen to me, and if I can't find Springbank 10, Kilkerran 12 will replace his place on the perma shelf. Okay, but let's talk about this finally, and then I'll let you go. So I mentioned the three distillate, or three, I keep on saying distillates like I'm being a scientist. The three products that come from the the three different variations or offer. Michelle, what am I doing here? It's like I forgot how to do this. Expressions. The three expressions from the Springbank distillery is Springbank, okay, Longrow, and Hazelburn. Kilkerran comes out of the Glengyle distillery, and then there's the Glengoyne distillery. If Springbank is either too expensive or you can't find it, Kilkerran is too expensive, and you want to try something, you want to try something Campbeltown, you're going to check out Campbeltown Loch. Campbeltown Loch is not cheap by any means, but it is a blended malt scotch, meaning this is all single malt scotches. And what they do is they blend all 5 of those products I just mentioned, Longrow, Springbank, and Hazelburn, with some Kilkerran and Glengoyne. And they put out this very, very, very tasty blended malt. I see this in the store almost every day that I go to Binny's and other liquor stores. This one you can get. I've seen this in our grocery store. Did you know that I've seen this in Jewel? Or Jules, if you... We don't all say Jules, folks. Did you say Jules when you were in... What? You did? I thought you were going to back me up on that. I don't know. Northwest Ciders just said Jewel. I don't remember Jules. West Side? Right. I've learned 2 things. Maybe on the west side, I shouldn't say Jules, because I didn't say Jules, and I probably should say West Side, right? I probably shouldn't. But I will tell you that go to the south side of Scotland, and if you can't get on to these other things, Campbeltown Loch. If I was going to add one more, I'm drinking it right now. It is really, really good. It's not that far off of Springbank. Again, it's not a malted scotch. Wait, it's not a blunt. Folks, I got about 2.5 hours of sleep last night. I should be sleeping, but I was charged up because I wanted to come and talk about Springbank, one of my favorite whiskeys. Blah, blah, blah. Campbeltown Loch, let me say that one more time. It is close to the Springbank in terms of flavor, but it is not a blended scotch. It is a malt blend, so there is no other grains in it. They literally take... I could make a variation of Campbeltown Loch by just blending these 2, and I would have the same exact thing. This Campbeltown Loch is a real killer, and I bought it a while back when it was on sale for a little bit. Again, the only thing I think that's beating this up is the labeling here looks very much like no-name brand single malt Scotch whiskey, meaning they are purchasing it for somebody, and then so you might look at that. Well, that looks like that's something I'm going to buy in Sam's Club or something. It is not a great label, but this is a blended malt Scotch product of Scotland, 46% blended in a bottle, adds to the Springbank distillery. So they actually do this. Really cool stuff. Like I said, it's going to be hard for you to get Springbank. If you're having trouble with that, but you want to try this, and you're kind of shy of blended Scotch, again, this is a blend. This is a malt blend, meaning there's only single malt Scotch whiskeys, all from a region of just a couple of miles. Phenomenal thing here. If I was going to add number 11, or I bought, I don't know how many single, I did Orchard House, Dewar's 12. There was another one that I brought up, another blended Scotch, I think. If I was any of those are going to get kicked off, or I could no longer get Springbank, this would be just as good. All right, Campbeltown Loch. All right, we're going to wrap this up. Springbank 10 it, it's not just the whiskey, folks. It's the fact that this hit me so well because when I was drinking some of the other names, names, bigger distilleries, I got kind of bored with them. I did a little bit of research and found I kind of read that I was going to like this, and it's been a favorite of mine for ever since the first glass I had. As long as I can find it, and it doesn't jump up in price out of the, I'm going to always have one around. And we don't drink that much of it because of that. Really fun. I think you've heard me talk about Springbank 10 about 6 million times, right, Michelle? Cool. I don't have anything else to say. Yeah, my season is always the autumn. I think that's the other thing. There's no, I don't, Campbeltown, anytime I get something from Campbeltown, it feels like autumnal. It doesn't feel winter, it feels autumnal. It feels like that. Maybe I guess you could kind of say spring, especially if you're kind of having a rainy spring right now. We've had some dry times. But I just always get that vibe from Springbank, and it's my favorite season. Brings me to that, start of the hockey season. And I also remember just having a glass, on gigs after a gig, hanging out with good friends, and some of my favorite musicians to play with up at that club. No matter if people were listening to that crappy sound system or not, it was a good time, and that's part of the reason why I enjoy this. So there you go. I hope you're going to be able to enjoy it on your own. Springbank 10, poor person's substitute, Kilcairn from the Glengoyne distillery. Really good stuff. And finally, if you can't do that and you want to try an excellent malt blend, all natural stuff. Okay, I think this runs 50 to 60. Do not buy a name brand like a big name brand, grocery store brand like Dewar's, or especially Johnny Walker at 40 when you can buy this at 60. First off, it's at 46%, so you're already getting more alcohol. Just buy this. If you are a Scotch whiskey fan and you can handle just a little hint of peat, it's going to be for you. All right. Do some reading. I'll put some posts on the Springbank Distillery. It's just a phenomenal place. I hope to visit it someday. Right, Michelle? Mm-hmm. Okay. Springbank. Goodbye. I gotta sleep. This is gonna help.